Holy shit!
You know that feeling when you were younger and you had a crush on someone you just barely knew? You saw them from the distance, you heard stories about them, but you built this entire personality for them in your head. They were smart, mysterious, interesting, maybe even special. And when you finally get to spend time with them, within like 10 minutes you are thinking, wow, I made all this up just in my head. Well, that's Run Like Hell. Hi, my name is Gabe, and I'm playing through every single PS1 and PS2 horror game ever existed, giving each 60 minutes to impress me and to see if they are still worth playing today. Now, let me put you up to speed, because I happened to play some of them, of course, when I was a kid. So there are two categories here, just simply accepted or rejected. And I'm going to be a bit biased here because, spoiler alert, all games here will be accepted. What do we got here? Code Veronica on the PS2, you can argue, but I won't listen, that's accepted. Resident Evil 3, all-time favorite. Alien Resurrection, very hard, but highly recommended. Resi 2, Resi 1, no questions to be asked there. Same applies for Dino Crisis and Dino Crisis 2. Silent Hill, let's not waste there any second to explain. Extermination, now I'm a bit blinded by nostalgia, you can argue, but I don't care. Haunting Ground, there is a video of this, please make sure to check it out. Resident Evil 4, maybe not the best Resident Evil game, but for sure one of the best games ever. And here is the thing, maybe this would worth replaying, but I remember this was a fun game though. This is a fun game on the PS2. So this is my tier list. This is all the games I have ever played which are horror games on the PS2 and PS1, and this is where we are moving on from. Now back to the video. So I known this game for over 20 years, just imagine.
Fuck, you're old.
Or at least I thought I did. I remember the posters, the magazine previews, early PS2 era, Space Station, Aliens, horror, back when every sci-fi horror game had a chance to be the next Alien game, or at least try to be. This came out early in the PlayStation 2's life, when horror games were still very rare. Silent Hill 2 was already around and it was like something special. Extermination already existed, but barely anybody knew about it. But there wasn't exactly an avalanche of sci-fi horror just yet. So in my head, Run Like Hell, throughout these 20 years or so, slowly mutated into this lost, underrated cult horror game. A hidden gem, if you will. Spoiler alert number 2. It is not a hidden gem at all.
No way!
Yes, but that doesn't change the fact that evil is always there, waiting, watching. The only thing we can do is fight it when we can.
So finally I boot up the game, just completely blind again. No trailers, no gameplay, nothing. I did not refresh my memories either. I have successfully avoided spoilers for over 20 years. All I know is just, it's set in space, it's a horror shooter, and that's it. Which is actually impressive, because this game wastes absolutely no time ruining itself. The main menu pops up and yeah, okay. Dynamic background, monsters, character model, the weapon is on display. Immediately this does not scream slow, oppressive horror. This rather screams, I'm an action game pretending to be a horror game. But hey, it's just the menu, right?
Sure, Jan.
The new game gives me two options. Jump straight in or play the tutorial. So I picked the tutorial just out of curiosity. Then if it's just something dumb, I will not count it in the first hour. Well, it turns out to be, it's not really a tutorial per se, but a full-on prologue. Why on earth would you call it a tutorial if it has a important setup for the story? Anyways, and about the tutorial, honestly, this is probably the best part of the first hour. We open in a creepy nightmare. aliens, infestation, something straight out of the movie Aliens or John Carpenter's The Thing. Then we wake up. Then we wake up again. So we're already doing dream within a dream nonsense, which tells me the game thinks it's very clever. Our main character, Connor, is voiced by none other than Lance freaking Legend Henriksen.
I prefer the term artificial person myself.
Yes, that Lance Henriksen, which is another Aliens connection and probably half the budget. Connor wakes up in his space apartment and immediately the game introduces its real priority, horniness. His girlfriend Samantha is here, and let's just say early 2000s mature character design was a mistake, or was it? I'm not complaining, or should I? I don't know. I will leave you to it. You will be the judge of that. I'm already thinking, am I going to have to censor this for YouTube? Because the camera is not subtle at all. But okay, let's just say it's world building. Dear YouTube, it is world building for God's sake. We walk around the apartment, click on stuff, learn to interact. There is also a shop terminal on the wall where you can buy healing items, and which I never see again in the first 60 minutes. And also a credit machine, which, again, I never see again in the 60 minutes. Great tutorial design, honestly. I mean, really, it is indeed great, which is immediately abandoned, so honestly, if I would play it more than 60 minutes, I'm not sure if I would remember if I happen to stumble upon it. Anyways, then we head further out into the station, and here is where the tone starts to be questionable, let's say. Instead of isolation, dread, or tension, we get a space mall. Aliens are everywhere here, friendly ones, talking ones, and one of them looks like a cross between a hippo and a dog and speaks perfect English.
Oh, hello, sir.
Hey, you're Niles' boy, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Well, good morning. Tell your dad hi for me. And, stay out of trouble.
Yes, sir.
A fucking alien.
And his name is Jesse, by the way, and he's adorable. And suddenly, I am not even scared of anything. This does not feel like Aliens. This feels like Babylon 5 or Star Trek.
Oh my god.
Captain, what can I do for you?
Which is fine, I guess. It's just not horror at all. Then the game keeps introducing systems, maps, goals, terminals, arcade machines. There is literally an arcade cabinet you can play, which exists solely to teach you a button code puzzle. It is fine, it is actually clever, it is also completely kills the mood. I mean, just look at this. Anyway, let's continue with the tutorials. Here comes the VR combat training, with a remote control robot that looks suspiciously like Johnny 5 from Short Circuit, which I also never use again, at least in the first 60 minutes. So I just got myself thinking again, what happens if I stumble upon this feature, I don't know, in the second or third hour? What difference does this tutorial make then? I don't know, maybe this is why it's optional. Then comes the weapon training. First in the VR, then again in the shooting range. Why twice? Everything else is very polished, very cinematic, and still just not scary. Especially when we meet this hulking, creepy alien guy who becomes our best buddy.
You're no prize yourself, human.
So how about we drink to old battle scars and better times?
Fine by me.
Really?
Hell, on this station, rather the humans are the dicks, not even the aliens. Mostly these guards or marines, I'm not kinda sure. Then we meet Amanda, the blonde chick, Do not make me remember which set of pair is which. I know, I'm the worst. And now I'm kinda convinced Connor is either cheating or about to. Because the vibe here is very weird and I'm already plotting some kind of drama here because there is so much horror going on I cannot even think about anything else. Right? Then we leave on a mission with Amanda, again, the blonde one. And we say goodbye to Samantha, the red one. Definitely not suspicious at all. I'm sure these two are messing around on these missions and there will be some sort of a guilt trip, which because we have to save the red chick, I'm sure about it. It's just not that scary if I have time to make up melodrama for myself. Chapter 1 starts with a Macbeth quote, because the game wants you to know it's smart.
So smart, me.
So we return from the asteroid mission and finally something is wrong. The space station we return to is empty, abandoned, blood is everywhere. There is no music, not a sound. This is the moment where I thought, oh, okay, now we're talking. Then Connor messes with a computer, the door opens and...
Amanda, you okay?
I'm fine. This can't be happening. Just get a hold of somebody.
Oh my god.
Nick? What is it?
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
A giant hulking alien drops in and immediately bites Amanda's head off. No build up, no messing around. Love interest deleted. I was actually kinda surprised by this, but again, you gotta somehow write off the other love interest and fall in love again with your girlfriend. God damn melodrama again! And immediately after that, the game shouts, "Run like hell."
Sorry.
But yeah, literally, we are thrown into a chase sequence where the camera faces Connor, obstacles fly at us, and button prompts pop up like it's a QTE madness from the Dreamcast game Shenmue.
Who told you about that, son?
But wait a minute, this isn't horror. This is an action set piece. Visually, it looks cool, mechanically, not my thing at all. Eventually, we are saved by our jacked alien buddy, Dagerek, who shoots the giant alien into space using decompression. Which is actually pretty cool, I give that to the game. Now the game hands me a weapon finally. And here is where the horror officially dies. Period. Ends. Over. Nada. There is infinite amount of ammo in the weapon. Unlimited bullets.
No way.
At that moment, Run Like Hell stops pretending. This is not survival horror or horror. This is a third-person shooter with an alien's wallpaper. And what about these smaller alien-like enemies, you ask? Yeah, they do look nasty and they die instantly. Especially if you get used to the dodge mechanic and keep your distance. The big hulking alien, it's something kinda cannot be killed, only in scripted events. So the combat becomes shoot everything forever except that one thing you are not allowed to fight. Then we got puzzles. Puzzles. For God's sake, button puzzles. Using PlayStation symbols. Why does a futuristic space station use triangle, circle, and square as security codes? Tell me this.
What?
Because it's a video game, shut up. But do not worry, here is a crowbar quest too, where you gotta find a key item. There is also a door opening QTE, and there is also another chase section with the huge alien, where the AI sometimes just forgets you exist. And also sometimes it kills you instantly. By the end of the first hour, I wasn't really scared, I wasn't really tense, I wasn't even frustrated. I was just kinda disappointed, but mostly in myself. Run Like Hell had everything it needed to be a great survival horror. Voice talent, atmosphere, budget, and it chose to be an awkward action game instead.
You went full retard, man.
This was not the Aliens-inspired horror I imagined. It was just the childhood crush that did not live up to the fantasy I had in my head. I'm sure there is a lesson to be learned here for the game developers, especially since I just read upon the making of this game and it was intended to be a sci-fi survival horror game originally, very much like Resident Evil in space, but development changes turned it more into an action-adventure game. Also, there is some lesson to be learned here from consumer side as well, involving high expectations, but I'm just too dumb to figure it out. So, after 60 minutes, would I recommend Run Like Hell?
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself.
Not because it's broken, not because it's unplayable, but because it promises horror and delivers infinite ammunition and button prompts instead. But what if you just want a dumb PS2 action shooter with aliens, you ask? You could do worse, of course, so this is not a bad pick per se. But what if you want fear and horror? Well then, Run Like Hell away from this.
Not enough cash, stranger.